PM Rishi Sunak might have gone, oh, I've got my Rwanda bill through. But in the Commons, that was good enough. But the pressure has not stayed off for long, my friends.
Not at all. New figures show his popularity has, in fact, plummeted. That's
Surprise,
right.
surprise.
The poll conducted by YouGov reveals 7 in 10 Brits have an unfavourable opinion of Sunak, and he has a net favourability rating of -49. So it's an all-time low for him.
It's not great, is it?
That's not
-49.
good.
Not as bad as mine. Joining us in the studio this morning, former advisor to Boris Johnson, Hugh Bennett. Hugh, welcome to Talk today. I was reading, was doing notes on people, and you were talking about a divided Tory party as never divided before and a lack of political direction. Let's just nail this, right? Because we all know about Boris's mistakes. For Rishi Sunak, 12 months on for succeeding Liz Truss without the British people having a say, right, and heading up a government that's run by Remainers that are not about what we were told they were voted for, the man has been a complete failure, hasn't he?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
OK, well, I wouldn't personally go that far. It's obviously been challenging times for Rishi. I think the problem he's had since he's taken over is that there's been no sense of sort of mission about what he's there to do as Prime Minister. I think, and that's what manifests itself in so many of the problems he's been having. I think his struggles to get the Tory party to unite around him, unite behind him, I think is because they feel like there isn't enough there for them to actually get behind. I think when you look at what happened when Boris came in, you know, he took over in incredibly difficult times from Theresa May. Within 6 months, he'd managed to turn things around, unite the party and deliver a landslide victory.
Can I ask you a question? If we're talking about character and personality, because we were talking about that earlier, weren't we, when Alicia said he's almost like an AI robot. And I'm being completely honest, because I think there's a poll out today saying only 9% of Brits trust politicians, and I think they need to wake up. Do you think that Boris Johnson, we all know about the bluster and we know about Partygate, how did he manage to pull that party together? So forget Brexit. Was it about personality? Because to me, Sunak just doesn't have that. He's trying to be all things to all people. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think what Boris was very good at was sort of communicating a real sense of purpose, a real sense of vision. I think he was able to bring people with him, both within the party and in the country as a whole, who would never sort of normally think about following the Conservatives. Like, he was able to give that sense of, you know, this is why we're here, this is what we're doing, this is why it's so important. And I think, you know, Rishi's approach is different. You know, he's a very experienced minister, but he's often someone who's sort of been said to be down on the detail of things. And I think it's been harder for him to sort of sell a compelling vision that has actually
You'd want a mixture of both, Nick, wouldn't you? Well, detail and personality.
Jeremy said there that Boris managed to unite the party for an 80-seat majority. I see things with a more with a different lens. He also managed to ruin that 80-seat majority and got thrown out, essentially, of the party. Do you think that he could be probably the person who's most responsible for the fact that only 9% of Brits say that they trust politicians?
I wouldn't. I don't think that's the sort of. I wouldn't characterise it like that. I think
Partygate.
Yeah, look. I think there are obviously huge challenges that went on during his premiership. I don't think, as he said, I don't think the report that came out about that was sort of done in a
calling our justice system a kangaroo court.
Yeah, well, I think, look, there are elements of the way that Parliament does these procedures which I think are sort of quite irregular when you compare it to a sort of legal proceeding or something like that. Look, I mean, look, I think the basic...
Boris made mistakes.
Of course.
Boris undoubtedly made mistakes. But for me, and I add Starmer in, Nick, with this, and people will go, but, you know, conviction, personality, politician, look where it ended. I absolutely give you that. I think that's right. But we're faced with a man whose party is fighting, who doesn't seem to have the personality, the vigour, the get up and go to say no or yes or this is what I'm going to do.
Starmer?
Both of them, but I'm talking about Sunak, just a bit bland, mate. And I think the biggest fear, I said it for the last 2 hours, for British politicians is that people in this country are fed up and won't turn out, mate. And that, to me, is the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a high chance that turnout will be low at the next election. I think neither of the leaders have really managed to sort of capture the imagination of the public, I think, in a way that some leaders have in the past. You've obviously got Starmer on one side who's carrying on doing his best to sort of basically say nothing about what he actually thinks, nothing about what he's actually going to do, just kind of hoping that people are dissatisfied enough with the Tories that they sort of vote for him anyway.
That's probably a good strategy, right?
Yeah, it might be a good strategy, but I think people deserve more. You know, I think if he's going to come in and be Prime Minister for the next 5 years, people need to know what's he actually going to do, because either it's going to just be more of the same, or if he's going to do something different, then he really needs to sort of put his flag in the sand.
Balancing, I look at Blair. So many people, quite rightly, as it turned out at the time, were fed up with what happened with the Tories to 97, and Blair came along as this breath of fresh air and spoke to the people and had an image. It ended wrong for him. He took us to an illegal war. But there's something about politicians, I just don't buy into it at the moment. That's what I'm saying, I guess.
No, I mean, you're right. I don't think Starmer has that sort of star factor, the sort of wow factor that Blair had. And I think it still provides an opportunity for Rishi, if he can actually take things up a level, take the fight to Starmer, actually sort of pin him down on where Labour don't have something to offer, and actually give the public something to vote for in terms of like a proper Conservative offering.
Overall popularity rating of -45. 7 in 10 Brits don't like Rishi Sunak, according to that recent poll. What do you think it is about him? Is it his wealth or his wife's wealth? Is it the fact that he doesn't really know how to use contactless payment? Is it the fact that he doesn't seem to be able, he doesn't seem to be able to connect with the electorate? Or do you think it's the way that he comes across in interviews? He's been accused of being quite tetchy.
No, I don't think any of the personal things really come into it. Yeah, politicians are always unpopular.
He's less popular than the Tory party now, though.
He doesn't connect. That word of Nick's is right. He doesn't connect with the British people. I don't think it's money. I think he's emotionless. I think he's just he should be in Silicon Valley, shouldn't he?
No. I think his challenge has been that a lot of the things that he's tried to deliver have not gone so smoothly. Yeah. You look at, he made a big deal of the random policy of stopping the boats. That's sort of one piece of legislation has been picked apart. He's bringing another one through that's probably going to get picked apart as well. And I think it all contributes to a sense that, he's not able to deliver.
Is he out of his depth?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's just, in terms of really sort of gripping the agenda, seizing the agenda, taking decisive steps to make sure he can actually deliver it. I think that's what people want from a leader of the country.
Do you think he's decisive?
I think he obviously he makes lots of decisions, but I think perhaps what's missing is the sort of the big decisions, the big vision, and providing those sort of decisions that can give an overall agenda that people can get behind and support.
Given the experience that you've had, how likely do you think it is that politicians, MPs, over the Christmas period will be conspiring to bring down Sunak at the next time that the bill is read in Parliament? Do you think that there will be a big appetite for that?
I don't see them wanting to sort of plot to remove him. I think over the next, I think a lot of them will actually just be enjoying their Christmas break, to be honest. But there's no doubt that the mood in the party is very bad. I think a lot of MPs are sort of expecting to lose their seats on the basis of current polling, and I think
we'll do anything to make them not lose their seats.
Well, indeed, but obviously the Tory party's had a lot of internal drama already. I think a lot of them would question, is having another leadership election, is that going to actually improve our standing with the public, or is this just going to sort of make things worse?
Final question: you were a former advisor to Boris Johnson. Do you think he'll ever come back?
No, well, I couldn't say what he wants to do.
Do you think he'll ever come back?
I think he's someone who cares passionately about this country, and I'm sure he'll do whatever he thinks is best to help.
Do you think he'll ever come back? You personally, not as an expert. Do you think he might think I could do this again?
I think he has. He's obviously got great leadership qualities and deep passion for everything about the UK.
I learned speaking to all these advisors, him and Rowley. They're even worse at answering a question than a damn politician. Hugh Bennett, thank you so much indeed.